What's up, everybody? Today is November 25th, 2022. It is Black Friday. JT here. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe to us and like this video if you like the content. Without further ado, let's get started. We're going to do a little bit of a recap today. And we're going to go over the daily chart and the intraday chart of the way that things went today. Today was really slow given the fact that low volume day, it's a holiday. We just had Thanksgiving yesterday, and hope everyone had a good one with that. So here we go. So let's look at SPX. And as you can see here, that we are still making higher highs and higher lows. So that is a positive for an uptrend in the market. I do see that we have possibly our next target would be up to this 4100 area in congruence with this previous high. We also have this gap right here we need to fill, so that needs to happen. Also, that being said, if we look at this pattern on the daily, we are kind of topping out, could possibly be a double top. So if we want to see some more upside, we're going to need to see a break of, today's high, which was 40.34. Now if we can do that, then we can start making our way through this gap and up to this area right here. Alright, so that looks pretty good. If you want to look at this in relation to SPY, let's pull up the SPY here. And you can see right now we're at 402.33. So again, a break of today's high, which is 402.91, would get us probably through the gap and up to possibly the 408.38 area, filling this gap in the coming week or two. Alright, let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ looks a little bit weaker, to be honest. We're making possibly a lower high. If tomorrow Monday, if we're able to break the low, which would be 11,748, we could actually see a breakdown. But we did get a bullish cross here between the 8 and the 21 SMA on the daily, so we'll see if that can hold. Ultimately, though, if we just look at the bigger picture here, and this goes also with the S&P, we are still in this, what I like to call, downtrend, right? Which is pretty significant. Let's look at it at a weekly chart, actually. And let's actually look at it. I want to show you something a little bit different. Some of you guys may not be used to this. And let me just hide the indicators real quick. And I just want to point out that we currently, right, are in a definitive downtrend. All right. So that being the case, we have to be mindful of that from a weekly perspective. And until that downtrend changes, we have to expect that we'll continue to bump our heads at the top of this channel and head back lower. Now, if we ever to break up and out, then things may change. Now let's go back to the daily chart. Let's go back to the candles here. And we'll adjust this real quick so it makes sense. Okay, so you can see again that we are just clearly possibly making a lower high here. We'll see how things resolve on Monday. If we look at the Qs, and we are going to apply it all here so we can see this a little more clearly. You can see that we are again dealing with the same thing. For the Qs, we want to see a break up and below 286.42, which is the low, or a break of the high, which is over basically 288 for an upside move. Now, again, I'm going to go back and look at this. So clearly, we have a nice little uptrend that's happened from the lows, but again, going back to the weekly, just spacing it out here, we still have this downtrend, right? All So we're still making lower highs and lower lows, as that's pointed out by the algo. Okay, and that is a great thing about the algo, is it points out the highs and the lows, whether they're higher or lower, and it always helps you look to the left to see if there are significant areas that we may be missing in the past, because prices like to revisit pivot points all the time. All right, so right now we're kind of in the middle here, but I'm expecting us to either reject and fall. Going back to the daily here, we're either going to roll over here, or if we don't roll over here, we will continue to possibly push higher back up into the same area. See, we have this gap in the Qs as well. I'm not sure if we can get all the way up to the gap because of this downtrend. It might come in congruence with this right up to here, and so we'll see what happens from that point. All right, let's take a look at the leaders. We've got Apple, which is looking a little bit congested right now. I would really like to see a break up and over this high at 153.65 to see a little bit of a bullish momentum up to the next one at 157 quarter or half. But we did close below yesterday's high today, so that being the case, that is a bearish thing. We could see us resolve back down to this demand zone and fill this gap. Well, we filled that gap there, but come back down to this area around the 142 level if the Qs do roll over. And if you'll notice, and this was something that was going on today, and I'm going to show this on an intraday basis, that the leaders, the Apple, Tesla, Google, Amazon, all of those today were open lower today. They were all weak. You can see Apple was down 1.96%. And Apple today, we opened up lower. We got a little push up in the morning, and then we kind of just resolved back, and we just traded sideways all day. We pull up Google, same thing. We opened up lower and kind of just went sideways all day. Meta, Facebook, try to push higher at one point, but we kind of just moved sideways all day. Amazon, same thing. Today we kind of pushed higher, then resolved back lower. Tesla, again, same story. We opened up down, came back up, and resolved back in the middle of the range. So today was mostly a sideways day for the market. It was very slow. The volume was really low. So this is again why we need to go back, and we'll go look at all the daily charts on these now. Once again, let's go look at the dailies on Apple. Like I said, looking a little bit bearish, maybe all the way down to about the 142.75 level. Let's go back to Google. We were looking for a breakout of this, but we did not get it yet. So we have an inside day, so we'll see next week. Should get a pretty decent move above the high or below the low next week on Monday. So look out for that. With Amazon, we don't like this one trending lower. Kind of a doji candle today. So again, similar scenario as Google, long above the high, short below the low. Let's look at Tesla. This one tried to open up higher for the day, but ended up closing back into yesterday's range. So we'll see if it can continue this uptrend and possibly target up to this 200 area. But it is in a downtrend. I'm not loving this. I want to see more. I want to see more than what we've seen so far in this. It's clearly in a downtrend. All right, let's look at Microsoft. We did not talk about Microsoft. But Microsoft was another one of those that looked kind of more bullish with Google on Wednesday. But as you can see, we tried to push up and over that previous high, but we kind of failed that. So we really need to see a big push up and over the high that we made previous. And this was 247.99. Let's just go with 248. And if we can get up and over that, then we can definitely see, this 251 area. But it ended up being flat today. So, all right. And I think that's going to do it for the leaders of the market. Now I wanted to go over some of the index, the SPDR ETFs. So in this mode, in this part of the video, what we're going to do mostly is go over how are each of the sectors doing? So we're going to go over the Spider ETFs, and we're going to go over them one by one. So we're going to pull those up, and let's start. Let's see here. We are going to, and there's 11 of these guys. All right. So to break these down, let's start off with number 1, which is going to be XLB, which is materials. And we're always going to be looking at the weekly charts whenever we look at the sectors here, okay? Because we want to be, we just want to be looking at the bigger picture here. All right. So with XLB, we have got, this is materials, and we have got a nice uptrend going on in the weekly. We just got to break up and above this previous high that we had in August. So it's got a nice little breakout here. So we could target all the way up to these previous highs, which is the $90 range in the coming weeks. If we are to do a nice little fib extension here to see how far we've gone. Oops, wrong one. So trend-based fib here, here. All right, so now looking at this, we could target, the next target for the XLB would be 86.42, which is the 161 retracement. And being that we closed above this previous high, that would be a higher high, so it would be possibly a trend change in this. So that's very, very cool. All right, some of the top stocks that you may see in XLB. Let's look at that. Let's do this by weight. So those are going to be like your Sherwin-Williams, your Freeport-McMoRan, your Nucor, Ecolab, Dow, DuPont, Linde, which is an international company, things like that. All right. Let's look at the next one, which is going to be your XLC, which is communications. Now the weekly on this has just been trending lower and lower and lower. We seem to have found a nice little bottom though. On the weekly chart, we had some demand zone right here, and we need to see a nice weekly candle close above this one. Now we did get that here, and we did get a nice little indecision candle last week. This week we did get a bullish candle, but we are firmly within the prior week's range. So I would kind of sit on hands in this part of the market, as it looks like we need to see a clear break up and out to really get rid of this downtrend here, which is pretty significant even from this point right here. I'd really like to see it break back above this high over the 5280 level. And some of the top stocks that you may find in XLC are going to be your Facebook, so Meta Platforms, Google, AT&T, Netflix, Charter, T-Mobile, Walt Disney, things like that. Okay. Now we're going to go on to the next one, which is going to be XLE, which is energy. So this one's been trending higher. Last week we bumped our heads on the previous high, and this week we started off lower but ended up back into prior week's range. But we do start to have this curling action possibly to the downside, so we want to pay attention to that here in the energy sector. But we are clearly in an uptrend, so nonetheless not really looking like a short here yet, and we do have some support down around the 85 level. So if this does decide to roll over next week, we could see possibly a rollover working towards that 85 area. But if we move up and out, then we could make new highs, and we've got some resistance up here, which is probably from a previous point, back in 2014. So all the way back in 2014. So XLE has really been booming. been one of the top spiders this year. All right, now let's look at XLF. XLF has had a nice few weeks going, and if we look at this, we've had this close above on the week of the 17th of October, and we've just been pushing higher and higher and higher, and again we made another higher high now in this industry. So we saw that so we're seeing that now in financials, and we also saw that also in materials. So that's two sectors that look like they're breaking up and out and possibly changing their downtrend on the long term, which is very nice to see. So with this one, I would be targeting, let's look at a trend-based fib for this one. We'll take this low here, we'll take this high here. And so now we're looking at a possible target now up to 38.71 in the coming few weeks to month. So your XLF is going to be your financials, and some of the top weighted ones on this one are going to be your Berkshire Hathaway B, your JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, just your normal banking sector. All right. Next, let's go to, let's see, we went over XLF. Let's go to XLI. XLI is your industrials, and this one has been performing very well as of late. So as you can see, nice bullish uptrend over the last several weeks, and what we can see here is once we got this nice little close above on the week of the 17th, we have just been pushing higher and higher and higher, and we also just again changed. This was the previous high, and we closed above that this week, so that makes the third S&P sector that looks bullish going into next week with that weekly close above. So very nice. I would target up to this range up here at the 104 area. And some of the top stocks in this industry are going to be Honeywell, Raytheon, UPS, Union Pacific, Caterpillar, Deere, Boeing, GE, 3M, companies like that. If we pull up a trend-based fib just to make sure of another target that we can see, it would be, if we were to get up and through this resistance area at 104, we could target the next move, making new highs up to around the 110, 109.79 area, but that probably won't be for till the beginning of quarter one if we continue this uptrend. Now again, we have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight weeks of bullish move, so it would not be surprising for us to start bumping our heads here, get a rollover, and then try and make our move higher. All right. Let's look at the next sector. We have got XLK, which is going to be your technology. So, looking at this, we've got on the week of the 7th, we had a nice bullish candle, and we've had two candles basically going inside each other the last 2 weeks. So we really would like to see a move up and out here for a nice bullish reversal up into at least the 141 area. Right now we're currently at 133, and if you pull up a trend-based fib, right now we are currently resting at, we bounced off the 61.8. We need to see if we can get up and over the 78.6 here. Now if we can get up and over this, then we should see a forward tracement up to this, which goes with this resistance area and supply zone up around the 142.5 area. So we'll see how that works, but this is one of the ones that's definitely in a downtrend and has not made a clear trend change back to the upside yet. All right, let's look at the next one, and that is going to be the XLY. That's going to be your consumer discretionary. Now this one is again in a clear downtrend. We're not really seeing a lot of consolidation here near the lows that we have made. kind of just moving sideways. We've really gone nowhere for a couple months. We really would like to see a move up and out. So if we can get above, I would say the high on this week was 147. So up and over 147, then we could start to see a nice little move higher. Otherwise, if we break the low here that we made of 133.25, we'd get a nice rollover, and we could really start to see some damage in this sector. This has been one of the more poor performing sectors. It's down 30% year to date, so it's definitely been hit pretty hard. So why are going to be your Amazon, your Tesla, your Home Depot, McDonald's, Lowe's, Nike, Starbucks, Target, companies like that. All right. Next, we are going to go to your XLP, Consumer Staples. This one has had a nice run. Several weeks of bullish momentum from the lows in October. Had a nice engulfing candle closing above again this week. A lot of momentum, trying to push up to this previous high at 77.40. So looks like that we'll probably target that, and then we'll try to see what kind of reaction we get from that. We do have a lot of resistance up here, as we've had 1, 2, 3 separate highs made here. So I would expect us to, and ultimately this is a lower high. This is a lower high than this one, and if this is to make another lower high, then we continue to go lower. Now, if we make another higher high, if we end up changing this and breaching this lower high, then that would be interesting, and possibly a reversal like we've seen in those other three sectors. Looking at the staples, some of the top stocks in the staples, those are going to be your Procter & Gamble, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Costco, Walmart, Mondelez International, Philip Morris, those kinds of companies. Okay. Next, we are going to look at healthcare. This one has had a nice breakout. We actually got that close above the previous high last week, and we had a nice breakout this week. And it looks like we're on a run right now. So if we're going to look at possible target up to the upside, we are going to look for, let's see, all the way up here. The 161.8 is at 145.54. I'm not sure we're going to get all the way up to there, but we've got a couple highs that we've made up here at the 142 and the 143.5 area. So I would expect us in the coming weeks to make that run up. The only thing that would negate that is some sort of bearish candle pattern where we would see an engulfing or a bearish pin bar or something like that to slow down the pace of this uptrend. But this uptrend has absolutely been phenomenal, and one of the best performing sectors in the last couple of months. If you want to look at what some of the top names that you will see in healthcare, that is going to be your under highest weighted. So you got United Health, Johnson & Johnson, Eli Lilly, AbbVie, Pfizer, Merck, Thermo Fisher, Abbott Laboratories, Bristol Myers, Amgen, CVS, companies like that. Okay. All right, I think we've got, we've got two more sectors to go over. So we got real estate, which is XLRE. Now this one has been in a downtrend, but we have found a nice little bottom in the middle of October, and we do have a nice little bullish pattern here, with 3-bar pattern, where we've got multiple times we've got this boom, then a nice little rest bar, then boom, then a nice little rest bar, and then again another boom. So the fact that we're breaching back up and over this low, to me, is a very nice sign. I would look to see if we can get all the way back up to this area around the 42.14 area. So if we look at a trend-based fib, see where we could target. We're resting at the 78.6 right now, could target the 40.28 level, and then after that it would be 44.66. Okay. Now some of the top names in the real estate ETF. Those are going to be, sorry, one 1 second. By weight, Prologix, American Tower Group, Equinix, Crown Castle, Public Storage, Realty Income Group, Simon Properties, SBA Communications, Digital Realty Trust, those kinds of things. All right, last but not least, we have the utilities, and these have had a nice uproar from the lows in October. And you can see that we breached this low that we have gone back up and above this low that we had lost prior. So it looks like we're possibly targeting coming back up to the top of this range here. If we pull up a trend-based fib, looks like we are resting almost near the 61.8, which is at 71.42. And then that next area right there, which is going to be 74.42, would be the 100% retracement. That would be a nice target. Now we get up and over that, and then we'd probably reach these highs that we were at prior, 77.27, and if we get a breakout a few months later, 83.03. But again, this is definitely one of the more bullish sectors. So looking at utilities, some of the top names in utilities. We've got NextEra Energy, Duke Energy, Southern Company, Sempra, Dominion Energy, American Electric Power, excuse me. Those are some of your top companies in that industry. All right. So to conclude, we've got several parts of the S&P that are breaking out, but nonetheless, some of the more weighted parts of the S&P are still lagging with technology and with consumer discretionary and communications. So we'd like to see some of those start to get a nice rebound. That way we could start to see the S&P really start to push back up to that 4,200 level, which would be nice. At least up to that 4,200 level, maybe all the way up to the 4,300 level. But we're still in this clear downtrend, so we really need to see a move that's going to cause some sort of breakout within the industries. And it's important to try and be in the places that are going to be the most the bullish, or if the market's going up, you want to be in the most bullish sectors. Market's going down, you want to be in the sectors that are getting hit the most. And if you don't like shorting stocks, then maybe consider which industries are doing well, and then find the best stocks in those industries. All right. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching our video. Just don't forget we're running a $5 for your first week special. Just click the link below. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And I look forward to doing our next recap. Have a great rest of your day.